I've been a radio host for over 20 years. Late nights, early mornings, and everything in between, I've done it all. But nothing could have prepared me for what happened during my final broadcast. It's a story I've told only a handful of times, and even now, years later, it sends shivers down my spine. This is the truth about the last broadcast, and the message that changed everything. It was a quiet night at the station. The kind of night where the air feels heavy, and the silence is almost oppressive. I was hosting my usual late-night show, Midnight Echoes, a mix of music, call-ins, and the occasional ghost story. The studio was dimly lit, the glow of the equipment casting long shadows on the walls. The first hour passed without incident. I played a few songs, took some calls, and shared a spooky story about a haunted hotel. Then, at exactly 1:13 a.m., the phone rang. I picked it up, expecting another listener. "You're on the air with Midnight Echoes. What's on your mind?" There was a long pause, followed by a voice that sent a chill down my spine. It was low and gravelly, with a strange, almost mechanical quality. "Do you believe in the other side?" it asked. I laughed nervously, trying to keep the mood light. "Well, that's a loaded question. Are we talking ghosts, aliens, or something else entirely?" The voice didn't laugh. "You'll see," it said. "Tonight, you'll see." The line went dead. I tried to brush it off as a prank call, but something about the voice stayed with me. It was too deliberate, too wrong. I played another song and took a few more calls, but my mind kept drifting back to that voice. Then, the static started. At first, it was faint, a low, crackling hum that I could barely hear over the music. But as the minutes passed, it grew louder, more insistent. I adjusted the equipment, thinking it was a technical issue, but nothing helped. The static was coming from somewhere else. I was about to cut to a commercial break when the static suddenly stopped. In its place was a voice, the same voice from the phone call. "You shouldn't have answered," it said. "Now, they know you're here." My blood ran cold. "Who is this?" I demanded, my voice trembling. The voice didn't respond. Instead, it began to recite a series of numbers, each one spoken with a chilling precision. 4, 7, 12, 19. I stared at the control panel, my hands shaking. The numbers were being broadcast live, and there was nothing I could do to stop them. The lights in the studio flickered, and the temperature dropped. I could see my breath in the air, though the thermostat read a comfortable 72 degrees. The shadows on the walls seemed to shift and move, their shapes twisting into grotesque forms. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. The voice didn't answer. Instead, it began to laugh, a low, guttural sound that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The laughter grew louder, more manic, until it was all I could hear. Then, the lights went out. I fumbled for my flashlight, my heart pounding in my chest. The beam of light cut through the darkness, revealing the studio in stark relief. The equipment was still on, the red and green lights blinking in the gloom. But something was different. The microphone was live. I stared at it, my mind racing. I hadn't touched it since the static started. But there it was, broadcasting to anyone who was listening. I leaned in, my voice trembling. "Hello? Is anyone there?" The response was immediate. "We're here," the voice said. "And we've been waiting for you." The shadows surged forward, their forms solidifying into something tangible. I could see them now, tall, gaunt figures with hollow eyes and twisted smiles. They surrounded me, their whispers filling the air. "This is your final broadcast," one of them said, its voice a chorus of agony and rage. "Make it count." I don't remember how I got out of the studio. All I remember is running, the whispers echoing in my ears. I didn't stop until I reached the parking lot, where I collapsed onto the asphalt, gasping for air. The next morning, the station was in chaos. The equipment was destroyed, the studio was in shambles, and my final broadcast had been cut short. But the message, the numbers, the voice, the laughter, had been heard by everyone who was listening. I never went back to the station. I couldn't. The memory of the shadows, the voice, the final message, it was too much. But I know they're still out there, waiting for their next victim. Every now and then, I hear the static. It's faint, almost imperceptible, but it's there. And every time I pass a radio, I can't help but glance at it, half expecting to hear the voice again. The last broadcast was just the beginning. And the message is still out there, waiting to be heard.